This is corporate has asked us to interview. We did the questionnaire that we talked about.
Okay.
I called you and everything. My name's Mark, and you've been a manager now for KFC for how long?
28.
28 years. Fantastic. You've probably seen a lot of changes over the last 28 years.
Right.
Have you noticed that prior to the package drum coming in that you had problems with trash, and if you could explain some of those problems you might have had with your trash?
Well, one of the advantages that I see now is we don't have that many, it's in the floor. Most of the time we have grease all over the floor because they put the trash on the floor.
Right, okay.
You know?
Yeah, so they're not placing bags on the floor.
It's less messy, everything is organized, everything in one place.
Okay, in one place, and so it's a lot cleaner in the back of the house.
In the back.
What about also moving the trash with the dining room trash container, the blue dining room trash container? Have you noticed?
That's good. That's good. I had that idea before, and I use that because usually when I say my cooks to clean the parking lot, they always pick it up at a few trash, and then they have to back and forth, and I say, well, we get a trash with the wheels and go around.
So it makes you more efficient,
right?
And so you thought of that too. Now, when you bring the trash to the back, and before it used to be a mess, they'd have to clean up and mop. How many times a day?
Oh, well, every day.
Every day, but several times a day probably because different crews and different shifts.
Right.
Now, have you noticed with the package room that the back of the house is obviously staying more
organized, clean, and it's advantage because it's and also sanitation. It's a critical issue. They have you attract flies and everything with the juice of the bags and things like that.
So you've noticed that you have less flies getting into the building or coming in because they're not attracted to your soft drinks or the mess that was there before. That's great. So another cleanliness issue that's been improved hopefully in your restaurant. Have you noticed that you don't have to be as prepared, obviously, for like site inspections or for other things like your dumpster corral is completely immaculate? Is that difficult to do without our system?
Yeah, with this system is great.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think that we have some opportunity that you brought right now is the trash can.
Yeah.
Some stores they have more volume than others.
Yeah.
And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes have a problem with the trash.
Yeah.
Because too small.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's overflowing. Right. And that's what we tried to address. Like in the 58 stores, you're actually saving that you have it in right now $185,000 a year just on trash.
Right.
Have you noticed that you're maybe not using as many chemicals or other things to clean and deck scrub the outside area or the restaurant? So that's another savings avenue. Have you noticed also that the time that it used to take to move trash and do all this cleaning and everything has been able to be shifted or moved to something else more productive? That's great.
Yeah, because the key is the night shift.
Yeah.
They have to put everything in bags. So the morning cook just need to carry that thing to the dumpster, and that's it.
So really quick.
Before you have to break boxes, put the bags and carry each bag, each tank to outside,
Right.
It's more time.
Wait, so you think your savings 15, 20?
It's time.
Yeah.
And like I brought to you the other day, it's more safety for the cook because being his bag, sometimes things are too heavy.
Yeah.
He had to left on the side and wait for somebody to help them.
Yeah.
And you cannot leave things over there around the dumpster.
They'll put the dumpster right on top of it, or you get a health inspection then.
Right.
That's great. So you've noticed also that, and obviously is it safer because your back door is shut a lot more frequently, and so people obviously, some of the managers even mentioned that possibility of things going out during the trash run they think is eliminated or reduced because of the package run. Do you see that being a possibility? That's great.
Yeah, because you never know what they go in the back door.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when it's busy.
Oh yeah, when you're busy,
you're in the front of the house, you don't know what's going on in the back, and hey, I'm gonna take trash, and
And that's when something might go out the door.
Yeah.
Well, and food costs being what it is, and people obviously it's happening so often. Before it probably had more opportunities to steal. Now, what do you do? At maybe how many times a day do you think you take trash?
Take trash in the morning.
Yep.
And around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's it.
That's it. And before you were doing it, probably how many times a day?
Probably probably 3 times.
Okay. 3 times. So you eliminated at least one trip. That's great. So
one trip, yeah. But the only thing that like I say is the trash can. Could be more bigger. So because sometimes it's like about a week ago I have the Metro Zoo have $5 the entrance to the zoo. It was packed here the whole weekend.
Now that's a specialty thing too, and that, did you notice though that you were able to keep some of the bags on the platform cart to kind of store it, because if it didn't fit in the dumpster, so for special events it might have even helped you keep the bags more contained, because when I ran restaurants, I know it's you can't plan for that peak, and you don't want your pickups to be at that peak, because then you're not filling your dumpster. So those little peaks, you can actually kind of keep the bags on the cart or somewhere in the dumpster corral, not dripping or making a mess. Right. But they also gives you that ease of doing it. That's great. Right. So, well, thanks. We appreciate your time and answering all our questions. And,
okay.
One of the other questions. If you were a district manager or to move to another store that didn't have a package drum, would you request that you get a package drum because it's helped you so much?
No, I think it's a great idea. It's helped us to keep the back door, the back of the house clean. It's more organized. Right. The cook. Usually I have to buy those back support for the cook, because sometimes it's too heavy, the trash. So you eliminate all those things.
Eliminated all that. That's great. So it's a safety improvement as well as an overall cleanliness thing.
Right.
Well, we appreciate your time, Admiral.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you much.